Sex lies and kinky photographs. The Jodi Arias murder trial seems to be getting more salacious every day. Next week, more cross-examinations of defense psychologist Richard Samuels. Then the defense will bring in a domestic violence expert. CNN legal contributor Paul Callan is back, joined by defense attorney Rachel Self. Good to see both of you. Okay, Rachel, I'm going to begin with you. What needs to happen this week in this case to wrap things up?
Oh, my goodness. Well, it's gone on forever, hasn't it? But the defense has the right to put on their defense. And at this point, we still need to have the finished cross-examination of Dr. Samuels. And then they're going to be putting on their expert in domestic violence. So that's going to need to happen before we see even closing arguments come up in this case. And so I think that we still are looking at quite a few days of testimony remaining here.
And Paul, how do you see this week? Is this a pivotal week to help finalize this case, or does it continue to get a bit more complex?
I think it's a pivotal week, and the pivotal witness in the case is going to, the cross-examination is going to continue. A psychologist was called last week by the defense, and he got slammed by prosecutors for a couple of reasons. Number one, he was testifying that, hey, she really can't remember what happened because she had post-traumatic stress disorder, or what the psychs call dissociative amnesia, so she can't remember. Well, they find out, by the way, that when he examined her, she was only on the second of her 3 stories. In other words, she first said, I wasn't there at all. I don't know anything about it. Her second story was, intruders broke into the house, held me captive, and I was able to escape. And then the third is, of course, that I'm a battered woman and he attacked me. I was doing it in self-defense. When the defense psychiatrist examined her, she was on story number 2, so she was lying to him. And he still says, well, it doesn't matter that she was lying to me. I still think she suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder. He's going to get slammed by prosecutors this week, and I think it'll be a big moment in the case. So his
credibility has been questioned, and you have to wonder, especially by way of the questions being posed by the jurors, if they are wondering about the credibility of this psychologist, Paul.
Absolutely. And, you've got this strange thing in Arizona where the jurors can ask questions. The juror questions have been very aggressive and very skeptical questions, which would suggest to me that they're not buying into the psychologist's testimony.
And Rachel, the significance of this domestic abuse expert that would be called to the stand, what needs to be said to help Jodi Arias's claim that this was self-defense?
I don't know. At this point, I think that she's in trouble. I think Jodi Arias is in trouble. I think she's on the train to Needleville, USA. And I think that a domestic violence expert is going to need to say more than, oh, my boyfriend made me dress up in a maid costume and get a little kinky in the bedroom, so I decided to stab him 30 times, slit his throat, and shoot him in the head. There's been credibility issues here, especially the Dr. Samuels stuff is a big problem, because Jodi Arias's word is more crooked than a dog's hind leg. And he didn't utilize any collateral resources. He didn't utilize any collateral resources to verify this, speak with her friends, speak with any family members. He went off of her word, which we all know how big a problem that is. And the other thing I find very interesting here is that the jury has been burden shifting. One of the questions that they pose to the defense expert is, how are we supposed to believe you and that your assessment is not based on his lies? So when the jurors are able to question like this, I find that what it does is it shifts the burden to the defense to prove her innocence, which is a very interesting thing in this case.
All right, fascinating stuff.
Frederica, kind of interesting. You think only Southern lawyers make references like a crooked dog's hind leg. Rachel's from Massachusetts. Yeah, right. There you go.
But I envisioned it perfectly. It was very good, very graphic. All right, Rachel Self, Paul Callan, thanks so much to both of you.
Nice being with you.
Thank you. Good to see you both.